My name's Rachel Honda with StraitJacket Podcast.
Happy Halloween. My name is Jeff with Mental Health Resource.
I'm Alexxis with Brain Nutritionist.
Today we wanted to have a nutritionist on the podcast because it's Halloween, and we could go over a little bit of the effects on sugar on sugar with mental health. Okay. If you want to tell, let's start with that.
Sure. Well, I feel like that's kind of a loaded question. There's a lot of different angles that you can, talk about it and think about it. I come from the school of like intuitive eating, and specifically with substance use where there's a lot of like black and white, overindulgence. I think it's important to talk about the importance of learning moderation if you can. And so there's a school of people that think that you need to completely cut it out because it's addictive, right? Some research shows that. And then there's another school of thought where, if you just let yourself have it, right, enjoy it without guilt or shame, and, you realize I feel like crap after I eat this. So maybe next time I'll think about it and not eat a whole candy bag, right? So I personally have been in both, right? So I'm 13 years sober and, various mental health stuff, and I'm a certified nutritionist. And so I have gone the black and white route where it's like I'm going to completely cut it out, like no sugar in any of my foods. And then I realized that was harmful to me, and I was, going into like a binge eating disorder, right? Which is common in substance use.
Right.
And then to more of like a mindful intuitive eating where it's like, what would happen if I ate this, right? And let myself have it. And it was realizing that shame and guilt is what like kept me in like that binge cycle. So it's like kind of the psychological approach, right? So being gentle with myself and realizing that it's not about completely cutting it out. It's realizing that like I have a choice. And if I don't want to feel like poop, then I'm not going to eat, a whole bag of whatever. I'm going to maybe have some with my food and enjoy it. So I feel
I like that better.
How does that affect the mind, or like?
Well, so let's say you do eat like a whole bunch of candy, so it's affects like your magnesium levels, right? And magnesium helps with like sleep and neural processes in the body, right? So I know that if I do have some candy, I'm going to be taking my magnesium supplement at night to help me calm down and help me go to sleep. Yeah. So that's one of the ways, for example. In terms of like mental health, I mean, I think our emotions and what we think about things that we do really affects how our bodies process. Like there's research that shows if you're eating something and you are beating yourself up while you're eating it or after, your body digests it differently. So when I talk to clients and I'm like, if you're going to eat something, enjoy it and trust your body that it will handle it, right? And that will hopefully get them in the road of like not overeating it, because that's really the issue, right? Like having a candy or two isn't going to kill anyone, but it's when we eat the whole bag, that it starts regularly, that it starts becoming a real issue, right? In lieu of actual whole foods, then that's a whole other issue in itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What is Whole Foods?
So one of my groups I dedicate specifically to whole foods, because you would be surprised how many people don't know what whole foods are.
Right.
I seen the store. That's like it.
I do love Whole Foods. It's a little pricey, but it is like kind of Candyland to me, I feel like. But Whole Foods is, the way that I explain it, it's foods that are grown and are naturally and not processed, right? Naturally grown. They're minimally processed. So vegetables, fruits, beans, meats, stuff like that. Yeah. And then you have some processed stuff like brown rice, whole oatmeal, rolled oats, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know gut health is a huge topic, I guess,
Yeah.
for nutrition. So
Yeah.
what do we need to know about gut health and why is it so important?
Well, yeah, research is coming out that we have, billions of microbiomes in our gut, right? And it's considered the second brain now. And I'm pretty passionate about it because, from the research that I've read, there's neurotransmitters that are created in our gut that affect, depression and anxiety. Yeah. So if we're missing these specific microbiomes, we will, it affects our neurotransmitters, right? So one of the things that we talked about was candy. And so eating processed foods like refined oils, processed carbs, and sugars, it does affect our gut microbiome, right? Yeah. So, and it's, again, you don't want to completely cut something out and create this whole shame spiral. So for me, it's about including, foods that support the gut health. Mm-hmm. So kefir, which is a fermented yogurt, right? Oh, yogurt. Yeah. Sauerkraut, that's a fermented vegetable, right? Miso soup is fermented. I like that one. Yeah, I like miso. I like kombucha.
What is all the fermented stuff? Because I always hear people say it's better to eat fermented food. I think kimchi.
Yeah, kimchi's another one. Sauerkraut, kimchi. Yep.
What is it really doing for you?
Well, it's feeding that good gut microbiome that has, because it's been fermented. So it's micro, and I'm drawing a blank.
I think I need to understand what a microbiome is.
Okay.
I've never heard that before.
So it's, billions of gut flora that's in your stomach, and it feeds off, so if we digest something, it helps process the foods, the nutrients from the food. It helps, with thousands of different neurotransmitters, stuff like that. Yeah. And so you want to eat foods that support that, so that you can grow and increase your gut microbiome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That is hard to say.
Yeah, I'm still so confused on what it is.
Yeah. So it's just...
What do the neurotransmitters do, I guess?
Well, I feel like that's a clinical psychology. Yeah.
I don't know. One of you can tell.
Yeah. So neurotransmitters are ways that our brains communicate with itself, right? With
which we can create new neural pathways. Right. So if we have a positive thought or a negative one, or positive habits, but how it relates to the microbiome, now I'm a little confused because with the neurotransmitters and that, I guess it's because what you're saying, right, is if we're feeding that microbiome, then that's feeding the good neurotransmitters.
Exactly. Right? And if we're eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of sugar, then it negatively impacts it.
Your microbiome?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it will decrease the good gut bacteria. So it decreases the absorption of nutrients and digestion. Exactly.
So you can't absorb the good stuff as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And so...
And the stuff that helps you absorb good stuff better is fermented stuff.
Exactly. Yes. Huh. Yes. Yeah. Yep.
So kimchi, miso soup. What was the other stuff?
Kombucha.
Okay.
Because that's a fermented tea.
Yeah.
I really thought all that was just a myth. I don't know.
No. I mean, there's research on it now. Yeah. I mean... Yeah, there's research on the importance of it, on not just mental health, but digestion, or, if you're taking a whole bunch of vitamins and your body's not able to break it down and absorb it well, you're missing out on all of that.
That was actually my next question. What vitamins are the vital ones to take, and where are we taking too many?
Okay, well, everyone's different.
Yeah.
Right. So in terms of what are we missing in the substance use, when someone comes into treatment, a lot of times they're not eating while they're using or drinking, right? They're pretty malnourished. So what I like to suggest is to do blood work and really see where they're deficient in. Because if you're deficient in vitamin D, right? Yeah. That's a really big one. most people are deficient in that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that affects depression, anxiety, our energy levels, our mood, right? So like that's one that I would say people don't get enough of. But we get that from the sun, right? But then we also need vitamin A and K to help absorb it. And most people don't get that from food. So maybe that's one that people can look into. I do suggest getting blood work to see. It's such a tailored.
How would you go about doing that? Getting the blood work?
I mean, if you're in a treatment center, sometimes they'll offer it.
Like a lab.
They're empty. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're empty. And then I'll have a registered dietitian look at the labs so she can help work and create a plan. Yeah. So vitamin D is a big one. Vitamin Bs are also important. Magnesium's a really big one. So magnesium we get from food like nuts and seeds and greens. So if you're not, and we need to eat that daily to really feed that magnesium. So if we're not getting that, then we're deficient, right? And that affects sleep and a lot of other different factors in our body. Yeah. Yeah. And it really just depends on someone's, you know, like their diet and how active they are. So it's hard to, you know,
see.
To
yeah.
say.
What I've been doing is looking up exactly like the vitamins and then what foods give me that, and then just eating more of the foods.
I love that.
'Cause I'd rather eat it, you know, just the natural way.
Yeah. And then there's that whole thing of like, well, I wonder, you know, if the vitamins I'm taking are even getting absorbed well, right?
Yes.
It is best from food. Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, I don't do any of it. I didn't even know.
Really?
I'm gonna start though.
No, gut health is huge too. Like I've been super into that.
Yeah. And so, even just like bringing in foods, I like to like switch it up. So like 1 week I usually always do kombucha. There's like alcohol-free kombucha, right? Because I know that's like a big thing.
Yeah, because we're not allowed to have the clients see that.
Yeah, but there's alcohol-free kombucha.
Okay,
Yeah, I love that one. And but I'll switch up like the kefir and the yogurt 1 week, and then the next week I'll do like the kimchi with sandwiches, stuff like that. Yeah. And then also vegetables and fruit feed that good gut bacteria. So, yeah.
Wow. So how did you get into being a nutritionist?
So just with my own internal battles, I don't know. I feel like, how deep do you want me to get with it?
As much as you'd like,
I mean, I battled with an eating disorder, right? And that kind of went hand in hand with like my alcohol addiction. Right. So, and for me, like it stemmed from like sexual trauma, right? So it was about coping with food at a young age, right? And using like my body image as a way to control like the way people saw me and treated me, and just being able to cope with, you know, a wild atmosphere that I lived in, right? So yeah, I mean, I was pretty active in high school. I really enjoyed working out. I was a runner. I was in track. And then I partied a lot in high school, right? And no one ever said like, hey, you know, you getting drunk and pump legs isn't normal. Like, it was, you know, it was just kind of, you know, it was just shit show, like spinning out of control. And then I was like 21 when I realized like, maybe this isn't normal, you know, like the blacking out all the time and all of that. So I got sober, and then one of the things that happened was I started gaining weight, and that was a really big trigger for me, which I see it is for a lot of clients.
Yes, yeah, especially my female clients.
Yeah, and so I relapsed, right? And then I started training for a bodybuilding competition because I thought...
As you were relapsed?
Yeah, as I was drinking, yeah. And so, I was at the gym like 2-3 hours a day. So it was like a whole other obsession, right? Yeah. And, but I learned a lot, you know. I learned about like eating protein and fiber and like really planning my meal. So there's things that I've taken from that time in my life and like applied throughout the years, right? Because I was in my early 20s. And then and then I just kind of spiraled out of control again because I was still drinking and blacking out. And so I got sober, and yeah, I was still kind of doing the whole like training thing and bodybuilding stuff, but along with, now working a program or whatever. And yeah, it's just been a wild ride since then. That was August 20th, 2011 when I got sober. And then about 3 years in, I got a divorce. Mm-hmm. And I really spiraled with my eating disorder after that. And I gained a ton of weight, and I was really binge eating, like, trying to cope with food essentially. So I went into a program for that. And then that's kind of where it all manifested. I realized, the importance of like self-talk, dealing with my traumas from what I was going through, but even as, a teenager and a little girl, like what were things that led to my behavior at that moment. And I became super passionate about like nutrition, and I decided to go to school for it. And then, so I got a 2-year certification from Saddleback, and then I got my degree in preclinical psychology. So I really like to combine the two, because they're both, I feel like they're both pretty, intertwined and can be utilized together.
I love that. So now, are you doing like, do you do work with people with eating disorders?
So I work mainly in substance use at the moment. Okay. Yeah. So it's just kind of teaching the basics of real food, why it's important, de-stressing, digestion, stuff like that. And then we also started doing some exercise groups just to kind of get their bodies moving and get those endorphins, because exercise also improves our gut flora. So, just, getting them into movement and stuff like that. I do have a registered dietitian that meets with clients one-on-ones, and she is specialized in eating disorders.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're kind of a team, and yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So what would you say is the most important things for people to know, like, about nutrition in general?
I think just being mindful of the foods that we're eating. Sometimes life is really busy, so we're just kind of on the go, and we'll, kind of rely on fast food, on convenience, but being really intentional and mindful of what we're putting in our bodies so that we can feel our best. And that's one of the things I try to remind the clients is if you feel well, you do well, right? And we feel well by feeding our bodies, proper nutrients that it needs to really thrive. Yes. Because if we're missing some of the nutrients, then we're not going to be at our best, and we're going to feel like crap, and it might lead to relapse, right?
And just like discipline too, yes. I think.
Yeah.
Right? Or it's like just being able to have that control of like what's going into your body.
Yeah. Well, and when you're more prepared, you're more likely to choose something that's, healthful versus you're starving. You're like, just give me whatever. That's another big one, right? So when you plan for success, you're more successful in that way.
Have you ever seen any of those, I guess, kind of like miracle cases where somebody changes something in their diet and then something like completely changes with their mental health or like their, Because I've heard about random stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
There was a current client, and I won't say her name, but she was in detox, and she was pretty receptive to what we were talking about in groups. And one of the dishes we made was whole chicken soup. And so chicken broth is really good to like help heal our gut and help, to help absorb nutrients and stuff like that. So they ate the chicken soup, then they had some extra chicken broth, and I suggested have this for morning before you eat or as a snack. Mm-hmm. And she, one of the days she's like, oh my gosh, I've been drinking the chicken broth. And she was like, there was like a sparkle in her eyes, which was kind of, I don't know, it was amazing to see and kind of surprising because she was in detox res, right? So it was a very short period of time, but it was awesome to see like she was actually putting in the work to like be mindful of what she was eating and not
And she felt instantly
and she
better.
She knew it. She was like, I've been doing the broth and the, yogurts and the chicken, and she felt better. And you could tell by her, demeanor and her energy and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
And I think you're right with the discipline too, because sometimes it's like if they know, okay, it gives them something to focus on.
Yeah. And that's another thing I touch on is out of all the things that can feel maybe out of control, we're processing a whole bunch of stuff. This is something that you can really work on as a self-care or self-love or devotion, right? To really realize that this is your body and you want to nourish it, right? And you want to take care of it so that you can feel your best. Yeah.
Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about superfoods? Like, I hear that term all the time.
Like dragon fruit and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think that a lot of it is maybe just social media, trends, trying to get someone to, buy a product, most likely, right? So I like to think about in the 90s, like fat was a bad guy. Right? Everyone was low-fat everything, low-fat butter, low-fat yogurt. And now we know fat is important.
Yeah.
It's a very important part of our diet. It helps with hormones and hunger satiation and our brain health. So it's important to incorporate fat, right?
It's a certain type of fat, right?
Of course, yes. Yes, exactly. Not like the seed oils or
saturated.
Exactly.
Unsaturated.
Exactly. Yeah. So like avocados, whole milk, whole yogurt, whole milk yogurt, cheese, right? But obviously in moderation. So we talk about, I like to refer to our hands. So for protein size, you want to have something that's like the size of your palm. So if you're looking at a meal and you're thinking like, how much should I be eating? So your palm should be your protein, and then carb should be right here, and the fat should be this much.
Okay.
Yeah. And then your vegetable should be 2 handfuls. So it's your protein and your fiber that's like the most.
The fiber is like making everything go, right?
Well, it's all kind of synchronizing together in our body. So the protein helps fill you up, right? And it helps heal our ligaments, our muscles if we're working out. It's very important. It helps fill us up. And then the fat slows down the digestion of our food, right? So then that prevents like the sugar insulin spikes. And it helps us stay full longer, right? Because it slows down the digestion. And then the fiber, same thing. It takes work for our bodies to break down the fiber. And so it slows down the digestion. So that gives you the normal sugar levels, which then gives you like normal energy levels. And then the starch gives our body energy. So nowadays, I feel like we're kind of going away from your question. So nowadays, carbs are the bad guys, right? The whole keto thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like that's like a whole other mainstream thing. But carbs are our bodies.
I love carbs.
Yeah. Our carbs are our body's natural fuel source, right? And obviously it's whole grains, right? So like brown rice, like rolled oats, wheat bread, wheat pasta, stuff like that, because it has that fiber. But it gives our body energy. And so if you take it away, our body has to work a lot harder to use energy from the fat that we're eating, right? And then
take fiber away. You said.
Yeah, well, you're taking a little bit of the fibers. Whole wheat has nutrients like niacin, B vitamin, stuff like that. So then you're missing all of those, right? Which are important for like energy and all these other functions. And so I like to talk about, just having portion control. So the starches should be the size of your palm. It should not be the biggest part on your plate, because then that's when you go into hypoglycemia, which is an increased sugar, in your blood levels, and lethargy after you eat, right? Like a food coma, right? We all know what that feels like. Too much pasta, right? Then we feel like we're sleeping.
So a lot of some of my clients have like diabetes. So what should they be eating?
higher protein, higher fiber, limited starch. And again, so not cutting out the starch, but just enough so that their body can get energy from it, right? And the nutrients and stuff like that. And more often. So a lot of people skip meals. Yeah. And that is one of the culprits, because then their blood sugar dips, and then they end up snacking on like sugar, processed food, and then it's maybe the cycle of like, then they'll want some more for their next meal, versus like having a snack that's like beef jerky, hard-boiled eggs with some fruit, right? And that's a snack. And then having their meals at appropriate times instead of skipping meals, like I see a lot of people especially in recovery do, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I skip meals sometimes accidentally.
Yeah.
What do you think would be like the ideal, like, I guess, day of eating for like, I guess we'll say me would be like?
For you? I mean, or how active are you?
I exercise like probably like 70 minutes a day. I think it's been
okay. 6 days a week or 7 days?
5.
Okay.
I do 5 days. I just do like a normal split, like pull, push, legs, pull, push.
CrossFit, or what are you doing? Or just
like lifting weights?
Weightlifting. Okay. Making sure you're getting enough protein.
Yeah, so like this is what I'm doing now. I'm doing 10 ounces of egg whites in the morning.
Okay.
2 packets of oatmeal, scoop of fiber, scoop of flaxseed, a scoop of protein, and then there's one other thing. Oh, like almond butter.
Okay.
And that's for breakfast. That's
nice.
like really the only meal that I really truly control, because then like lunch is like,
you're out and about.
I'm probably eating like Wingstop or something.
Wingstop's good.
Yeah, I love wings. Those
dinner I eat with, if I get home early enough, I eat with the family, but like I always eat it at home.
Okay.
Right. And then that'll be like pretty healthy, like chicken breast and like, maybe one of those like protein mac and cheeses.
Okay.
I forget what it's called, but they're good for kids because like kids need the protein and stuff.
Yeah. Is it the bonza pasta?
I think
made out of chickpeas. We eat those too.
And then like after I do that, I'll do like 3 scoops of like whey isolate.
Okay. A few hours later?
No, like right after I eat.
Okay.
And then I'm just like, yeah.
You're done. Yeah.
Well, by the end of that, honestly, I'm not really usually hungry by dinner, but I like force myself.
Sure. Yeah.
I
would say you're not eating enough.
You think so?
Yeah.
I need to eat more.
Yeah. I mean, and it makes sense why you're having such a big dinner, because you're skipping like snacks.
Well, I'm not even hungry at dinner.
Right. Yeah, because your body's in overdrive from go. So it shuts down your metabolism, your ability to really listen to your body cues, right? Because you've been in your head and running around all day. So, yeah, I mean, it's good that you're eating. So a lot of clients will be like, I'm not hungry. I'm like, right. Sometimes you got to, for if it's a mealtime and it's been hours, like sometimes you got to force yourself because you're missing nutrients from that meal that you wouldn't be getting if you don't eat, right? So it's important to eat. So you should be
adding like
calories.
Peanut butter and
apples. So breakfast sounds great. You're getting your fat.
Like 900 calories on that meal alone.
100?
900.
Okay, yeah.
Because of the egg whites and
I don't really like to do calories counting, just, looking at the portion. So you're getting your protein, your starch, your fat, your fiber. If you could add the spinach instead of the fiber thing. And that way you're getting like the vitamin A and C and stuff like that from the spinach, right? Some more nutrients, feed that good gut bacteria, etc. And then what time is breakfast, and then what time do you have lunch?
Breakfast is at like 9.
Okay.
Lunch is probably, lunch is like the one that really varies because it depends on like what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll eat it as early as 11, but then sometimes I'll eat it as late as 3. And if I eat it late as 3, like dinner's like done for.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even like close to hungry.
So then what happens is your metabolism slows down because when you go, let's say 5+ hours, you start eating your muscle mass as energy, right? So that's why like bodybuilders will eat like every 3 to 4 hours because you want your metabolism to be increased, right? Always going. But if you're eating your muscle mass as energy, that's going to decrease your metabolism because they're related. Your metabolism is related to your muscle mass. Yeah. Okay. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So eating 3 hours late, so 12.
I know I should eat at 12.
Maybe
I have it on my phone. Like I have like a reminder.
Good. Yeah, I was gonna suggest that.
It doesn't work out that way.
Because it goes off. You're like,
maybe you need to carry snacks with you then.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest. Like planning.
I don't know. I just sometimes like I've been in these modes where it's like I'll do like the really good breakfast, and then it's like I'll plan for like pretty much like rice and like protein at lunch, and then like basically eating clean, and I just can't like
taking
bring
it
myself
with
to
you.
do it. Like it's like it's almost I feel like I'm torturing myself.
Yeah,
I'm like I don't like this.
With just the chicken and rice and broccoli for lunch.
Yeah, because
it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like chicken, rice, and broccoli for lunch. Like it can be different things, just as long as you're feeding your body. Look up a yummy like ground beef recipe with vegetables and rice, like soy sauce or something. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be just like plain and boring. Yeah. And that's another misconception. And like it can be like food is meant to be enjoyed. Right? Like there's literally happy hormones that go off when we eat yummy food, right? And so we don't have to torture ourselves that way. It's like our culture is so obsessed with self-torture, I feel like.
Yeah, I've always done better with just eating, but like you said, in moderation. Yeah. Also, what helps is like to look at what the benefits are of that food. So if I see like walnuts, they help with your memory. I'm like eating a bunch of walnuts.
Yeah.
I was like, what are these doing here? Like,
really? You saw that?
Yeah, I just started
eating I love that. Yeah. Well, there's tons of different.
They're good for your brain, though, right?
Yeah.
They look like
they're healthy fat, right? So different nuts and seeds have different vitamins, and that's what I tell clients. It's like a puzzle piece, right? So if you're eating these different foods, it's like a puzzle piece that you're putting together for your body to really thrive. So maybe one week you're doing walnuts, next week do pistachios.
Okay.
But also try and have a balanced meal. So have, a handful of walnuts with some fruit. Okay. Right, to really help satiety. But that's a snack, right? That's not a meal. So hopefully you're eating 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, I need to work on the meal part. I'm good at the snack part.
What is your daily like meals look like? Or like the way that you eat?
I mean, it varies, but I try and stick with a breakfast, right? So making sure I have my protein. I'll have eggs. Today I made there's protein rich pancake mix.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you eat that too?
I've had it.
You've had
it.
So my daughter loves waffles, so in the morning that's what I make her, right? Because I'm trying to make sure she gets enough protein and whole wheat and all
Kids
that.
Kids need protein.
Yeah. I mean, everyone does, right? And if we're eating high processed meals, we're not getting enough. Right. So
I think it's especially hard to get protein in kids, though.
Sure.
I don't know. At least my son doesn't really he likes chicken nuggets a lot.
Yeah, dino nuggets.
Like that type of thing.
I feel you. Yeah, my daughter is very picky too.
Yeah.
We eat a lot of the same things. So I started giving her a whole food multivitamin just to kind of fill the gaps but I feel like kids is a whole different
that's a
ball
different
game. Yeah, that's like I mean it's not and it is, but yeah, so for me, breakfast, making sure I get enough protein. So I had that waffle pancake with 2 eggs, some turkey bacon, some grass-fed butter on my waffle, right, with some maple syrup. That was my breakfast with some matcha tea. And then for a snack, I'll do like a yogurt. So I like to get like the plain yogurt and like the sweetened yogurt, and I'll mix them both. So the sweet yogurt has a lot of sugar, but it tastes yummy. So I'll mix both of them. So I'm getting both, and then some berries, or some peanut butter, just depending on what I got and what I feel like.
What do you think about doing low-fat yogurt with like the honey or like whatever? Is that kind of just defeat the purpose or what?
So remember, one of the functions of fat is to help slow down the digestion and keep us full. It helps feed our brains and our hormones, right? So if you're having low sugar, or low fat yogurt, then you're missing that component, right? So you're essentially like prepping yourself for insulin spike.
So you should just have the
whole
normal
milk.
Yeah,
whole milk. Okay. Have the whole milk yogurt, yes.
What about I'll let you go on, sorry.
It's okay. Okay, and then lunch, I mean, it varies. So if I eat out, but just making sure I have my protein, my fiber, my starch, and my fat. So if I'm making something, I love tuna.
I like tuna
a lot
too.
of the times.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm like turned off by it, but you can make it good.
You
know,
really good.
some a tuna can with some pickle juice, some pickles, celery, on a whole wheat toast with avocado and some hot sauce. And that's pretty fast meal, right? Maybe some Siete chips with it. I love Siete chips.
I don't know.
It's a brand. No,
What
you
is
guys
it
aren't
made of?
familiar.
Is it the pita chips?
No, it's a brand. Siete's a brand.
Oh, no, I
Yeah,
haven't.
okay. They use whole healthy like fats. So they use like avocado oil instead of canola oil or hydrogenated oil in their chips.
Out.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys haven't heard of it. Yeah, they actually just got bought out by Kellogg's, I guess, for like billions. So we'll see what happens to their But so that's my lunch, and then another snack. Sometimes I'll have a smoothie. You know, some protein powder, peanut butter, some milk, some yogurt, some spinach.
Okay.
And then dinner is just we do a lot of tacos. They're easy. Today, so I really am really excited about this. We made pumpkin and ghost pizza earlier this week, so we're gonna make that when I get home after this. So it's like whole wheat powder, whole wheat with some yogurt, and then we put some tomato sauce and some mozzarella with some pepperoni, and we made it into like little pumpkins. This was with the client, so I'm gonna try and do it with my daughter.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
a good idea.
So that'll be our lunch today. So I'll try and pack on a lot of cheese, maybe add some ground beef or something. So I really try and get enough protein.
I think protein's super important, at least for me.
Yeah, same.
See. Are there any highlights, that like you would want to, like, that you really think people should know, like the audience, I guess, about nutrition?
Just incorporating whole foods. Okay. You know, and really getting to the root cause of why we are resistant to doing it. So a lot of times I think we can create barriers to making our own meals, right? Maybe we don't have enough time, so maybe outsourcing it, having help with that. But food is so vital to our health, and it makes such a big difference. It's something that we can't overlook, right? So I don't know how to explain how important it is, because if we're not feeding our bodies properly, we're eventually gonna, get sick, and our bodies will request that we, buy hospital stay, or you know what I mean. Eventually, it'll.
Am I gonna end up in the hospital?
I mean, it is what we do now will impact our future years. Right?
How bad off am I? Would you say?
No,
I think you're pretty good.
I'm okay. I feel like I'm like squeaking. I'm like not healthy, but I'm not like completely unhealthy.
I think you eat a lot of at-home meals, and
and then the one that I eat out is bad, though.
So being mindful, maybe if you go to Wingstop, getting grilled chicken nuggets with the grilled ones with the hot sauce. I mean, I did that at Chick-fil-A, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, honestly, Chick-fil-A, like, you could modify it pretty well.
Yeah.
The grilled chicken nuggets aren't bad.
Yeah, I put the hot sauce wing on it. The sauce, what is it? Buffalo sauce.
Buffalo's pretty good.
The buffalo in it, and then with the kale salad that they had, that was pretty bomb. Yeah, so just like little hacks like that. Yeah, if
I couldn't do that with Wingstop, but I might try with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I'll have to check out Wingstop.
You never had it?
I've had it, but I haven't looked to see what alternatives.
Oh, okay.
I love buffalo
No, it's
sauce.
So good.
Yeah. You got to get them like super well done if you go to Wingstop.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. All flats, well done. I get it.
If you like it with done. Yeah.
All flats?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's just the way the wing is.
Like the flat.
So instead of
it
just tastes better.
Oh, I like the
round ones.
Yeah, I do.
Really? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just get it super well done. Like just tell them like almost burn it, but don't burn it. And then like I'm telling you, well, I don't know. I don't want you to like. I don't want to derail your nutrition.
I remember I'm all about moderation, and one time eating out is not going to derail like what I do 90% of the time. That's the biggest thing. Is what are you doing majority of the time that really has the effects versus, a couple of times a week. Yeah.
And I love how you talked about how it relates to mental health, because it's like a bunch of people just eat fast food, all the saturated fats, and then they're like, I feel like crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
they don't connect those two things.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And there's a lot of like misconception. I mean, maybe sometimes overwhelmed with the information. So they give up as well. So that's why I'm pretty passionate about like talking about it and educating people, because we don't learn about it in school unless you go to school for it. So, yeah. Are
there any cultures that you would say like reflect, it pretty well? Because my wife is from Argentina, and they're like pretty like reasonably healthy.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a lot of like whole
I'm not
foods.
Familiar.
And then I've had of course like Vietnamese food. So it's like it's pretty healthy. It's a lot of I guess it's not a lot of fried stuff.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
Not really.
I'm trying to is it like pho? Is
That's
Vietnamese
like the
pho?
normal one. Yeah, what would you say that? But is there any culture that like stands out to you as far as I know they'd say like what Mediterranean is like almost
that's what
like
I was
the
gonna
perfect
say. Yep. Yep, because they use a lot of like healthy fats, whole grains,
yogurt.
Exactly. I love kebabs.
Yeah. Indian's pretty healthy too. Like they have a lot of vegetable options for people who are vegetarian.
Okay.
Because they don't get. I mean, they need to get their proteins more. So then,
and certain nutrients they're missing from
not
the meat.
having it. So then with Indian food, they still get the chickpeas, the lentils, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So and the spices are all good.
I
for
love
you.
Indian food. Yeah. It's very anti-inflammatory.
Yes. Yeah. Turmeric.
Yes.
Very good for you.
You do feel better.
Any joint pains.
Yes. Yeah.
I have like my mom. I'm Indian, so
okay.
She always has a little, medicine for everything, and it's always food. It's ginger or
I
ginger
love
for
it.
The stomach or something. And so that's. I mean, it helps. It really does.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like Indian culture. Yeah. The yoga. Is Kundalini yoga part of the Indian culture?
I think so. It sounds like
I think it is.
Yeah, I love Kundalini. It's like breath work Kundalini. Okay. Sure. Yeah. And then like the herbs and stuff like that. I'm not like a herbalist, but I do,
like
seek
the basic
out
stuff.
Holistic alternatives when I can. Yeah. But I'm not an herbalist.
Yeah.
So I can't give like
that exact advice.
I can't give like, advice on herbs to take, but there's some I feel like that are normalized, like maca is a good one for like energy. Adaptogenics help with like stress level, stuff like that.
I need that one.
Yeah, ashwanga. Yeah, sometimes I'll add those to smoothies.
Is there any like fast way, like what would you suggest for somebody that like is on the go to like try to eat like reasonably healthy, like meal prepping or something, or like just like go to like Mediterranean?
Look up all the Mediterraneans. Yeah, I mean, meal prepping is a big part. Planning is a big part. So getting a sheet and writing out like Monday, Tuesday. I like to double cook. So like Monday, I'll cook enough for Monday, Tuesday. So I'm not always in the kitchen. So planning those meals out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we'll have like spaghetti Monday, Tuesday. So I make enough for Monday, Tuesday. And it's just me and my daughter. So it's not a lot. And if you're single, if you're cooking for a whole family, sometimes it's more work. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I make enough and planning for each meal. So like I'm going to have tuna for my lunch this week. And then one of the weekdays, maybe I'll eat out at Chick-fil-A and have, you know, the grilled nuggets with the kale salad, right? So I kind of have in my head, or I'll Pollo Loco. I love Pollo Loco because, you know, you could get a chicken taco with some beans, right?
I heard Pollo Loco is pretty, like, I have this one friend that swears by the Pollo Loco chicken nachos.
Oh, really?
I've
never
Steven,
had those.
Really?
Actually,
he's like, they're so
I think
good.
I've had their chips, and I think I've had their nacho sauce.
He's
yeah.
like, it's $6.
I'll have to try it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's, you know, making sure you're having enough protein and, you know, at each meal. So I think it's also about like learning what to look for and stuff like that. So when you do go eat out, you know what to order. So like Mediterranean, I love their salmon, right? Grilled salmon with their rice and their vegetable salad. So just making sure, you know, I only eat a certain amount of the rice, right? Because they give you like a whole bunch. So again, referring to your hand, like this is what I should be having, you know? So they give you this whole thing of rice, so I'm not going to eat that. I should eat like this much, right? So I don't go into a food coma after, because I want to feel good after I eat, not have to go take a nap. Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
The energy levels are
exactly.
really important.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people probably don't eat healthy out of convenience, but what would you say to those that aren't eating healthy out of cost?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that, and that's one of the complaints that a lot of clients have.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah. So I think a big part is knowing how to shop, which is something that I talk about like in my group. So, you know, and making sure that you're planning, because if you're not, then a lot of food sometimes goes to waste, right? So making sure that like, okay, I'm really going to make this like spaghetti with bell peppers so the bell peppers don't go bad, right? And then also buying frozen foods, frozen vegetables. That's another good way, right? So one of the things with vegetables is once they're frozen, they get locked into the nutrients from when they were frozen. So like with fresh vegetables, their nutrient density kind of goes down as they get older, right? But with frozen vegetables, they don't go bad.
Oh yeah, I've heard that, because it's fresh to it's farmed to frozen.
Yeah, right. So depending on how far it took to get here, and right for the fresh. Yeah. But if it's frozen, then it's locked in. Yeah, exactly. So that's a good way. Canned beans is a good way. So having canned beans with your meals to add some protein and starch, right, with your vegetables, and then your protein source. So some chicken or ground turkey or something like that.
Do you suggest a 93% lean, or do you you just get whatever?
I'll alternate.
Okay.
Yeah, between the two. Yeah, it's a whole food, so I'm all for just
switching it up.
Yeah, just kind of getting nutrients from all sources. Yeah. I'll typically get the lean, but if it's not available, then I'll get the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like you know what I mean? Yeah. It's more important that I eat than focus on the little details.
This is my one friend always says. He's like a bodybuilder. He's like or like competing bodybuilder. He's like there's like always an unhealthy, or there's always a healthy way to eat like everything. He's like, you can make a burger, but if you can make it healthy.
Sure, if you can
like,
get it home,
nachos, but you just
or
have to
even
make
like the hot wings. We're talking about that.
Yeah.
Let's say you get some chicken, bread it with some whole wheat, and put in the air fryer.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, and then some
Healthy,
what is that one hot sauce? That's really good.
Tapatio.
That one's good. No. But
Cholula?
No. It's like the wing sauce.
Oh.
It's hot sauce. Red sauce? No.
Like Frank's hot sauce or something? Maybe?
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
But it's like really good, and you can put it on wings. I don't know. I'm getting hungry. I think it's lunchtime.
I know. I'm like, do you have a catering company?
Are we gonna go?
Maybe we should.
I want to start idea. One. Yeah.
No, I'm down. If you let me know.
I actually used to have a meal prep company in my 20s.
We'll support it.
Oh my gosh, I would definitely.
Oh yeah.
All like Whole Foods and proper portions and stuff like that. Yeah.
Because I think my biggest thing is on being on the go, like he said.
And that's what I would cater to. One of my big clients was these 3 guys, and they owned a vape company, and they were busy, and so I made them like homemade meals. Yeah. But I was young, and it was really my first business, so it was
It's a good idea, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, probably have to wrap up pretty soon, but just tell us about like the services that you provide now with what you're doing.
Sure. So I do nutritional groups, right? So educative, but also like group discussion type. And then we also do hands-on cooking. So like at the Detox and Res, we made the pizza on Monday, and yesterday we made monster muffins made with like sugar-free chocolate and like spinach. And so they were like green. They were pretty yummy. And then at my PHP IOP, we'll do a lot of like things that you can make without a kitchen, right? Because it's in a facility kind of like this where there's no kitchen. So we'll do like tuna recipes, smoothies, chicken recipes, stuff like that, just to like get them, in the kitchen, cooking, starting to, get familiar with it, so it doesn't seem so foreign.
So are your groups in the kitchen, or are they in like a group room?
Both.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. So we'll do the groups, and then we'll migrate.
That's really cool.
Patients like that.
You're teaching them how to cook.
Yeah.
That's really what you're doing.
And I love the application piece of it, because otherwise they get bored.
Yeah. That's probably why they like moving. They're from one room to the other. They like that. And then we also do some breath work and meditation in some of the groups, because that helps with digestion, right? Like if we're in fight or flight, sometimes our hunger cues get, out of whack. We're not familiar with it, right? Like you're just running around and you're not hungry sometimes at dinner, right?
That'd be crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so really getting into our bodies. And then I just started adding exercise groups. I used to be a trainer in my 20s and, was into bodybuilding and stuff. So we started doing movement classes, and the clients really love that. And then I partner with the dietitian, and she does the one-on-ones where she'll work with clients that have different diagnoses and helps them with like plans and suggestions and DBT on like certain, coping things that they need help with. And and eventually I would love to offer like meal prep and stuff like that, but I feel like that's maybe a little down the line. Yeah. Yeah, a little down the line. Yeah.
Well, cool. Awesome. We'd love to support you however we could.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I would love that.
It's really educational.
How I can help you guys if you...
For mental health resource, for sure. It's just helping people with mental health.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of this stuff is really educational.
Yeah. So, I think it's... One of the things I wanted to kind of talk about was, when people come in and they start gaining weight, right? And... kind of reminding them that their bodies were probably in starvation mode because they weren't eating and stuff like that. So our bodies, maybe our metabolism has obviously slowed down. It, in fight or flight, our stress levels are altered probably if we're just getting sober, right? Working through trauma. So just being like gentle with ourselves through the process so that we can get to a healthy weight for our bodies, but giving grace to themselves during that period.
Back to baseline once they start, putting the healthy nutrients.
Exactly, yeah. And it's kind of like a fire pit, right? So I saw a video. This guy had like a little match, like a little, what is that?
A lighter?
A lighter. Oh, that's my timer.
Is it, yeah?
Oops. And then he had... he's like, do you want your metabolism to look like this or like this? And then he had like a strong torch, right? So it's like the more you feed your body those good whole foods, your metabolism and your body will know what to do. You'll have energy to move more.
Even if you do put like bad stuff in it occasionally.
Right, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, our bodies are amazing. They know how to heal themselves, right? If we give them the proper nutrients and tools, we just have to help it, right? We can't just expect to feel well and be well and do well if we're not feeding our bodies the proper things it needs to get there. Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you guys. Yeah, happy Halloween.